What the hell's going on here tonight?
Well, you're having a tough night.
Obviously, you have some friends here with you, right?
I have a couple up there somewhere.
Okay, folks, just take it easy now. Do you ever get kidded about your last name, Fuhrer? I mean, people say, hey, Hitler's kid. You know, something like that.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Actually, they call me Rarehuff since I was a kid, which is Fuhrer backwards.
We're going to... First of all, I mentioned you are in marketing for the color media advertising. Exactly
Right.
What is that now?
We're a company that's putting computerized billboards in shopping malls.
That's something new, huh?
Yeah, something new. We
You mean it
broadcast.
changes?
Yeah, it's full color, and we put on news, weather, and sports, and point-of-sale advertising.
Not a bad idea. All possible because of what's happened with computers in the last few years.
Exactly, with the microprocessors. It's a new company.
Is there a name for what you do? I mean, it says now you talk backwards as easy as you talk forward. We'll get to that in a moment, but is there a particular name for that kind of
I call
ability?
it Kniklat Strokasab, which is talking backwards. I think that's about as scientific as it gets.
In other words, you talk backwards with phonetically as the sound would be backwards. Is that right?
No, when I hear something, I can put it backwards. I say it the way that it's spelled. For instance, if we were to take a word like mouse, I'll use as an example.
Mouse.
I would say Esuom, E-S-U-O-M, which would be M-O-U-S-E forward. But if I was reversing the sounds, it would come out like sound. So if you played it through a tape recorder backwards, it would not sound like it was forward.
We talked about that last night. I said, I wonder if it's possible if he says mouse backwards and then some way you could play that forwards, it would come out mouse, but obviously it can't because...
Sure.
Don't be so bright, folks. We had a discussion about this thing. Would it come out?
High level.
What?
A high level.
High-level discussion on this thing. If he says mouse and then you played it, would it come out? No, of course it won't because you're doing...
I say it exactly the way it's spelled.
If you said car, take car.
Rack.
Rack. Now, naturally, if you say rack and play it...
Well, a word like car would sound. It probably would come out like car. When you take a word like Johnny,
Right.
I'd say Yinhaj. Y-N-N-H-O-J. Yinhaj Nasrak.
What?
Dino Hamcom. Ed McMahon.
I like that name better. Dino Hampton.
And then, of course, we have Cod Nesnarevis, Doc Severinsen.
Now, wait a sec. How old were you when you found you could do this?
I've been doing this ever since I was little.
Why, David?
Why?
I mean, how did it happen? You just get up one day and say, now, Mom, it's no difference. Mom would be Mom, right?
Right. That was the first word I ever said.
You said, and you said, I'm talking backwards. Mom.
Right. Exactly.
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad. I have a brother named Bob. That's backwards, Bob.
But you just started doing it one day, or?
Well, I used to call my friends by their names backwards when I was little. I had a friend named Tony. I called him Why Not.
Why not?
There was a girl up the street named Naomi. I used to call her Imone.
I know. Did you drive your parents really batty? What do they?
Well, for years, my parents have been telling me to shut up. Now that I've made a couple of appearances, it's my son that talks backwards.
All of a sudden, it's show
Yeah, all of a
business,
sudden,
right?
right?
Now, is there any reason outside the fact you can do it? Is there any? What's the word I want?
I mean, scientific.
Is there any marketing thing available for this? I mean,
Well, I don't know. Sort of. I think impractical, but it's a lot of fun. I like to entertain people with it.
how can you do it so quickly? How do you, when you hear the word, how do you immediately put it in your mind? That's the thing that.
I know. I hear it, and I just instantly know what it is, as if it was written on an imaginary piece of paper, and I was reading it backwards.
Well, let me try something. Now, what we did. I take a book.
You can take a book.
Now, I have not even seen this book yet. It happens to be the new Emily Post Etiquette.
Okay.
Now, in other words, if I read, how long a sentence?
You can just. Why don't we start with a short sentence, if you can pick one out, and
All
I'll
right.
show you exactly how I do it.
I can pick one out. I know the difference between long and you know, I want to find one. There's a lot of compound sentences in here. Suppose I say, we'll write again in a day or two.
Luta Higar Niaga Nia Yadro out. Okay, let me go.
Now, how do I know that that's right?
I'll go back to the beginning. Okay.
Now, right, you can now.
All right.
Well, we got a gotta explore this, David. I'm not questioning your ability to do this. You did it so quickly.
Let me go back to, it was will write again in a day or two. I said will was Lou, which is double L-E-W, W-E-L-L, wheel. Write was Etir, E-T-I-R-W, or W-R-I-T-E. Again was Niaga, N-I-A-G-A, or A-G-A-I-N. Again, in a day, Nia-Yad. In was Ni, N-I. Yad was day. Or two, row out.
Okay, I'm just gonna read
Okay.
slowly. And
Okay.
you can translate as I go along.
Okay.
Dear Franny,
Rated Yinarth.
okay, if you say so. You and Jim are such wonderful hosts.
Boy, did I midge your luck red note so.
Once again, I can only tell you
Ekno Niaga, Inak, you'll know Letwoy.
that there is no other house where I have such a good time.
Tat eretsi an reto esuo tat aiva esesa dug emit. Can you follow along?
Thank you very, very much for including me.
Knadawa Yirav Hasam Rafgani Dolkni em.
Did you translate when Gromiko was here at all? That sounds like, you know, if you were going to do comedy, sketch or something in Russian, it almost sounds like a...
Sounds like
a
another
phonetic
language.
Russian. I've never met anybody who does this. There was a fellow who worked for years. I think his name was Jimmy Edmondson. Was that his last name? Professor Backwards.
Ah.
Who immediately could take any word and write it backwards.
Write it backwards?
Do you have that same ability? Or do you just, if you can see it, you should be able to write it?
I can write it. I can write it. But I don't do it as, I don't mirror write it.
Yeah.
Well, I write, you know, the letters the way that they're supposed to.
Yeah, he would just yell out a word, Hippocratic, and he would just write it as fast as he could backwards. That's
Katarkope, Hippocratic, right? Katarkope.
Katarkope, yeah. How about a word like extraordinary?
Yorana Ridro Arksy.
Now, come on, I don't understand this at all.
You want to write it down?
There's some mental process that's going on that is...
Perhaps after tonight, I'll have electrodes.
No, but there is. There's some kind of... Did you ever try to think what it is? Most people could not do that at all.
I think about it, but...
Let me give you now just a simple word, and you can do it to me, because I want... So suppose you had to say David. Right.
Divad.
Divide, right?
Divad.
But you see, you have to take the one word and say David, D-I-V, and do it in word or letter by letter backwards.
I'll try you. You try me. Preposterous.
Suaretsapor.
That's right.
Suaretsapor. I don't understand.
I have a question.
Yes.
What are there words that said backwards he could not say on television? In other words, there must be sounds that...
Well,
Yeah.
I'm probably the only person that could say the 7 dirty words on television.
Hey.
Tisip kasaptanak recover time rakaskasak instead.
Can you see the sensor up there?
Your laugh is great too.
You're doing the laugh backwards. This is incredible. I've never heard anything like that. I had a question on my mind just before you did. There are certain words that are the same forwards and backwards.
Right, those are called palindromes.
Palindromes.
Palindrome is a word or
Race
a
car?
sentence.
Race car?
Race car. Race car is a good one. How about sex at noon taxes?
Same thing, backwards
Same
or
thing,
forwards.
Or one currently in the news. Star comedy by Democrats. If you were to write that down, it would be exactly the same backwards and forward.
Can you say it backwards? Star comedy by Democrats.
Well, that would be, or Ratsitamak by Starkomet. But if you wrote it down and read it from...
Read the letters.
The letters would meet exactly...
So race cars needs you in the C.
Race car, R-A-C-E-C-A-R, R-A-C-E-C-A-R.
Those are called what?
Palindromes.
Palindromes.
They should be called palindromes.
Sure. For you.